What is going on, everyone? My name is Boyd, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the right side, I guess, of the map in the blue color, playing as Kronos. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Loki. His name is Suppe. Soupy boy. Yes.
Tilbúin? Já, tilbúin. Tilbúin? Hver þar? Tilbúin? Tilbúin? Skip hann.
I don't know what's going on here. This build by Suppe is way too much for my brain. He's sharing his ox cart with his wood villager and his food villager, and he's building a dwarf. Has he learned nothing? Anyways, Suppe's always coming up with new and exciting things with Norse, so I'm excited to see about this. We've got Loki, we've got Kronos, we've got Alfheim. It's a bit of an interesting map here for both players. So the first thing that we see on this map is normally like kind of low hunt, so it's kind of bad for the Loki player. The other thing we see for the Kronos player, normally low hunt's pretty good, but the thing about Alfheim that's less good is kind of more like the rushes are a little bit less strong because there's these cliffs, there's forest, lots of choke points, lots of ways you can defend rushes. So for example, a wall here, a wall over here, and this gold mine is relatively safe. And then you also have to scout around and see what's going on. There's a couple of cows here, there's a couple of deer. So it is a little bit on the low side of food. There are aurochs as well, but chances are Loki probably not going to get these unless he goes super fast to the classical age.
Skip hann.
And we see yet again some more cheeky creativity here from Suppe. Normally, my God, I've got just constantly dying. I tell you what is this? We see Suppe doing yet again something creative. So this is from kind of borrowed from the Greek civilization here of splitting up early game food gatherers when you're when you got low hunt, like this, and that way you're going to be able to get the food you need to advance more consistently. The problem with it, normally for Norse, is these ox carts cost so much. But as Loki, they only cost 50 resources, so they're about equal to the Greek ox cart, and you can move them, which is always nice. If you guys aren't aware. And we do see a ton of villagers on food. Now, the problem that Suppe's going to run in with this is not having the wood to get Hall of Fanes very quickly. So we'll see where his villagers are going to go after they're finished. Building one more villager, possibly over onto the gold mine. It's going to be a little bit of an late advance time here. Kimo, on the other hand, he's going through Prometheus. It looks like he's done a 6 villager advance here. So a little bit delayed. Normally it's 355 for the 6 villager advance, but Kimo a little bit behind on that one, simply because of the food situation. But going up at this time is going to be really, really useful for Kimo, so he's going to be able to easily control this. I don't think he's spotted this. So if we check out his scouting, normally the early game scouting from Atlantean is pretty lackluster, but on a map like Alfheim, I think you can afford to scout with these cows. So all of this that was scouted from the oracles, you can just use your cows to scout this and see all of that map, and the oracles can see everything else, and that way you know exactly where you need to be attacking. But for now, Kimo's going to be moving forward, and he's actually possibly going to be seeing this temple instantly here, which is not what you want to have if you're the Norse player. Suppe, you definitely want to keep this nice and safe here. You can see here's also one of the problems that Suppe's going to be running into. He's just a little bit short on the temple here, on the Hersa. If that deconstruction came in, that Hersa would not get milled. What's this relic we got here? The Trojan Gate hinge, giving himself extra wall hit points. That's going to keep him alive much better, going up to 720 from 600. Promethean Offspring just going to be searching around here, looking for something. Just not going to find all too much, though it looking like he might be able to spot these villagers, but they're coming home anyways, so no real problem here. And Kimo's should be focused, but no focused oracles. Going to be retreating back home as we're starting to see the Cairo Ballista and Murmillos coming out. An interesting decision here from Kimo. Now Kronos does have the advantage of cheaper Cairo Ballista because they are considered siege units, and Kronos gets cheaper siege units. So an interesting little adaptation here from Kimo, grabbing out the Cairo Ballista instead of the Terma early, in a way. He is having a little bit of idle time on the villager, but he's smart enough to be cutting that Murmillo there to make sure that the villagers are coming out on time. And he's grabbing his own relic here. We do have the Harmonia's necklace, going to give him even more gold income. Starting to move forward, going to be time shifting that mana in. If we check out Soup over here, question is, how close to Hall of Fame is he? He's actually quite close. About approximately correct here. You have to rebuild that longhouse, but instead of rebuilding it, it's just going to grab the Hall of Fame's technology here. And we can see a little bit overdoing it on the dwarves early. It's one of those funny situations where, because you don't have as much production, because you have less food gatherers, you can kind of get away with less villagers on gold because you're just not building as many Hersa. But it'll get sorted out. Having the extra gold's not a bad thing. You can always just take these villagers off of gold and put them onto cows here. Move these cows over. Once you get to like, I don't know, 700 gold, and try and get a semi-fast heroic there, because if you get pushed off the gold mine, it's fine because you're not gathering from it anymore. You just come over onto the cows, get to the mythic, the heroic age, have flaming weapons, etc., etc. But Kimo is taking this nice and slowly. He's got 3 Cairo Ballista, 4 Cairo Ballista now. The thing about Cairo Ballista, which is a little bit like counterintuitive, is that while they're counter infantry, they're really only counter infantry in the sense that if the infantry units are standing still, they counter them, which is weird, but it's a thing. So it's, well, only for those units that have more than 5 speed. Because only have 5 track ratings. So the Ulfsark, the Lone Wanderer Ulfsark, the Hall of Thane's Hersa, can move in and take these fights if they have enough units to get them. But at this point, it's looking like there's plenty enough units for Kimo to defend this, and Soup is going to get a little bit barraged here. Take a lot of damage there. You can see that Hersa got a little bit confused there and took a ton of damage, but as soon as he starts running away, completely healthy, not taking any more damage. That's exactly how it works here. Now, Soup is going to continue building these units. He is making some raiding cavalry out here as well, so not going for any sort of semi-fast heroic, just taking it slowly, and same with Kimo. Now, the big problem with this army composition, like I said, is when Flaming Weapons comes in, those Hersa will come in, surround, and kill everything because they're 4.24 speed, even with the Kronos speed boost to the siege units. I believe that's a speed, 0.4 extra speed there on those Cairo Ballista. Even with that, it doesn't matter because they're not getting away from those Hersa. We just see a second town center coming up for Kimo. This is going to be a point that Soup can take advantage of. When you grab 2 town centers against Loki, that's just a big sore thumb sticking out that says, I want you to attack here. And we'll see if Kimo's going to be able to defend and Soup's actually going to go for that. So a big Flaming Weapons push onto this town center, catching out the army would be really good, but it's looking like he's going for this fight now. Trying to get onto these Cairo Ballista. We see a troll spawn, not what you want to see, especially against those Cairo Ballista. The raiding cavalry trying to juke around here. No real micro here from these Cairo Ballista. Need to target down those Hersa, otherwise what's the point? The raiding cavalry have been are really owning this fight at this point. Another troll spawn coming in here, and it's looking like Soup is able to completely decimate that army there from Kimo. We'll see if he gets the town center up. Does Soup know about it? He doesn't know about it. He sees the mana here. Will he move over and check this one or not? He sees the town center going up, and he's going to be able to deny that one. Good play here from Soup. Kimo going to have to evacuate there. He does have the mana to jump into. Kimo now, he is pumping villagers out onto that gold mine here. Still making Carabalsa, still making those Murmillo. Has a bunch of those hero Murmillo out right now. But honestly, the trolls not actually that bad at this point because they can just sit here and control the area. Don't really want to run in onto them because they can just deal so much damage from the back of the fight and just continuously get that health back if they ever take any chip damage from those Murmillo heroes before they die. And you couldn't get those trolls to target down the Kara Ballaster. It's only got, well, it's got 50% pierce armor, but I say only got 50% pierce armor because, I mean, these have such high pierce damage. So it's not that bad to be targeting down. They have very low HP as well. But we do see the Valkyrie spawn coming in. A lot of those trolls were picked off in this fight as all the Herso do get completely destroyed here. And Kimo completely... well, doesn't completely win the fight, but he does force Suppe back here, and he's going to be attempting to get his town center back, and Suppe is in a little bit of a predicament here as he's going to have to retreat back. Probably shouldn't have been taking this fight. He should have been happy with this and then trying to find his advantage elsewhere. Now, a lot of the time, when you get an advantage against Atlantean, that advantage is a lot smaller than if you were against Egyptian or Greek, and that's because of the spammy nature of Atlantean and the worse economy they have. Generally, when you get those advantages, you want to sit on the advantage, try not to throw it away, and just get further and further ahead in the economy. Sometimes that allows the Atlantean players back into games if you don't read the situation correctly, but most of the time, you're not as far in front as you think you are. And you don't want to overcommit to anything. Because right now, it looks like Suppe is in front of the score, but that's because there's 700 resources currently tied up in this settlement. As soon as this settlement's up, Kimo's score is going to be back in the lead, or close to. There's the armory coming up now for Suppe. He is over here. He's actually managed to, probably going to be managing to eat these Aurochs, which is huge. And I don't think Kimo's going to be aware that there's Aurochs. No, he does see them here. So when they get attacked, he will be able to check out and see those there, maybe go for a raid or something. And we will probably be seeing Bragi coming through very, very shortly here for Suppe. Once that food economy starts going in, we're starting to see those throwing axemen coming in. A very, very smart unit to be building while you're saving food to get to the next age. And we'd like to see that happen here. We do see another deconstruction coming down into the longhouse, but already another one coming up for Suppe. He's actually already got 3 up right now, so it's not the biggest of deals that one gets deconstructed, and he is going through Bragi. Kimo got a big army now of medium Murmillo, though the problem is when Suppe gets heroic age, he's going to have super Herso here. And immediately, these Herso right now, they're probably about the same as a medium Murmillo. Once they get heroic, though, they get closer to a champion Murmillo than a heavy Murmillo, if you know what I mean. They get a little bit extra boost. I think it's 15% every age or something. Whereas line upgrades are more like 10%. But I really don't like how Suppe is trying to engage here. You need to split off some of these units, some of the fast units, the raiding cavalry, the Herso, and come around the back so that you can come in and pressure those Caraballas to make sure they're taking damage, because they deal so much damage if they're not getting targeted damage. You see these villagers here going to get pushed off this, but the Herso look like they're trying to come around the side here. Suppe is just about to hit the heroic age here, and he does hit the heroic age. The raiding cavalry retreating back. The Herso coming around the back, going to be attempting to snipe some of these units here. Battle Ball here, going to be able to start getting spammed out. We don't see the flaming weapons coming down just yet, as Kimo can very, very simply run with those Murmillo. But if Suppe just fights this, he might not get as easy of a win. He had a bunch of Herso just stuck in that town center. They were seeing another troll spawn. How unlucky can one guy be? But there's the flaming weapons coming out. 83 population here. This is a desperation flaming weapons if I've ever seen one, as Suppe probably will win this fight, but at what cost? He's not going to be able to really do anything to Kimo. Both players very low on population now, but Suppe much lower, 91 population for Kimo to 75. So much food in the bank though for Suppe, so he can move over off of this wood line here and chuck them over onto the gold and get a lot of gold income very, very quickly if he so chooses. But that would allow him to get to the Mythic Age a lot faster and then start getting out Fire Giants and the Nidhogg, which would be huge here at this point in the game, especially with Kimo still building Caraballas, Kimo still stuck in the Classical Age. And honestly, Kimo's going to be Classical Age for quite some time here. And so probably best option for Kimo at this point is probably going through Hyperion here anyway. He's not going through Rhea, so he's not going to have that trader to steal a Fire Giant away from him, which sometimes you might. But against all of these myth units, it's kind of better to grab the Chaos and hit a couple of units as well as a myth unit, as well as having a good Mountain Giant spawn here for Suppe to help take down this town center. Almost planned. Part of me feels like it would be really nice if there was somewhere where you could see what myth unit you were generating, so you just know and you can play around it instead of making it quite so random. We do see the Mermilla moving up onto this location, going to be taking down a house before going after the villager here. And now Suppe moving in yet again. There are a lot of these Caraballas here, but there's really no answer for the myth unit spammage that is coming Kimo's way. If we check out Suppe's economy yet again, he's got so much food in the bank. He really just needs that gold economy to just pick up, but it's not coming. And he is out of food as well. He's starting to build some farms. It's looking like, well, big Iron ER spawn going to help out a ton. It actually helps out all of these units. If you combine the Mountain Giant special with the Iron ER special, it does both stack on the extra damage. You can get a gigantic amount of damage with that Mountain Giant special and Iron ER special together. It's kind of a beauty to see when you go Heimdall and Njord and send both of those units in to kill a building at the same time. You just click them both, make sure they attack at the start at the same time. The wind up lines up. It's just like they made it there perfect. Absolutely perfect. Kimo's houses going down, but he's very much alive here. He's kind of got gold mines all over the map that he's gathering from, so it's going to be tough for Suppe to just finish this game off. Suppe is spending all of his food, but now Kimo's resources are starting to come in here. He's about to be able to click up to the Heroic Age, and if he gets Heroic Age, he's going to have a lot of new units ready for him to start being built, namely the Arcus, the Satyr, and the Destroyer to help him out a lot in these fights. Well, now Kimo's coming in with his units here, ready to try and think about fighting. Though it's more like a hit and run tactic, I think, here, trying to snipe a couple of units and make sure that Suppe is on the back foot here. The battle ball's bouncing Kimo away. He's going to have to retreat, and like I said, this is just all distractionary. We just see a random Promethean offspring coming, and that's going to get shut down by a lone Herser. He wants to get these walls up as the mine's almost expired, it looks like, but both those Prometheans do fall here. I think if Suppe came around this way, killed this off, he could push in through here very, very easily, but I don't think Suppe has any idea of what is in Kimo's base. He does see that all the buildings are here. He doesn't realize that there's nothing here for him to walk through. And we do see this Mountain Giant now going to clean up this manor. And now Suppe coming way around this way. And this is going to be a really big movement here for him. But we do see that, oh, Rhea is the god of choice here for Kimo. I don't hate it. Getting the trader may be enough to help out. But not having access to Stymphalian Birds, not having access to Satyr, the Behemoth, really not that useful here. And we do see an instant trader there onto the battle ball. Going to be attempting to keep that one for himself. As long as you can. You want to use that trader as fast as you can because it's 3 minutes before you get another trader. And obviously those traders are going to come in clutch if Suppe wants to make Fire Giant here. So smart play going through Rhea. And we do see the collapse here, incredibly strong here, picking off a lot of those throwing axemen, which would be incredibly important to keep alive. And now we're starting to see heroes getting converted as Kimo realizes there's really nothing to defend these myth units. The battle board does get sniped here of Kimo's, but there's a fair few heroes here as well as the Prometheans. Kimo not with a lot of favor in the bank because there's only one town center. This Behemoth here going to get taken down, and Kimo decided to turn around and take the fight instead of just losing it for now. But Kimo just needs to somehow get some favor here as he's grabbing his second town center at the back. Here we see the Mountain Giant does go down here to these Hero Momilo, and now Kimo has to retreat yet again. These villagers here might want to consider retreating here. Just send some of these villagers over, grab this gold mine, feel good about yourself. He's got a nice gold mine up the top. We do see this Hersa creating a pesky wall, though there is a way through for Kimo. He might not see the wall there, and he could get trapped on a raid on that location. That could be very, very spicy in the future here. Suppe playing for much further in front in this game. Suppe decided to get his second town center on the forward location here. He can very easily defend it against these units, but now we've got Arcus coming into the picture here for Kimo, as Suppe does definitely need to turn around and start targeting these units down. The Einhjar will blow his horn, and he does like chip damage to everything around him with that horn, so it is it's not just a stat boosting special ability. It does do damage if you weren't aware. Battle Ball's picking off these straggler units here, and Kimo just needs to get some hero units out. He's just has no hero units out, and there's just so many myth units here for Suppe. Now with the second town center, also Kimo may have thought about getting is it in the temple? This upgrade, Horns of Consecration, just to get more favor so he can make some more heroes. It's only an 11% increase, so it doesn't really amount to very much. But when you're when favor is a limited source and you need as much of it as you can, the little bit extra may be a big help. So we'll see if that's something. I don't think that's something that Kimo's grabbed yet. We'll see if it's something he wants to grab a little bit later here. Now, Suppe is still able to fight this. With no heroes here, Suppe's army just completely wins this. We just see a couple of heroes getting made in the back. We have one hero Arcus, one hero Momilo, and I mean, what do they cost? 3 favor each? It could make 2 more heroes. At some point, it's worth it to just stop building units and just like make heroes instead, if you've got the favor, and then start the heroes back up again. But most of these myth units are getting picked off here for Kimo, and the myth unit numbers only stay big for so long. Suppe needs to think about getting up a hill fort and get those really strong Huskarls out. Sometimes you can switch into like throwing Axeman Huskarl in this matchup, and it can be really, really tough for the Atlantean players to fight against that comp, because they don't really have the counter infantry. They have the Kyra Ballista, but they get countered very hard by a few myth units as well. So they don't really have counter infantry like the Paspist or like the Axeman, which are so key here. We see a little bit of a raid coming in. The heavy units over here, very, very important. We see there's another trader coming in here. It's really smart to trader the full HP battle ball here. One very low HP battle ball here. This battle ball will get sniped, but taking its time. Thank you so much for the 4 months. Strauss House, appreciate you, man. Hope you're enjoying the games. And the hill fort is on the way. Kimo about to advance to the Mythic Age. And this is exactly what happens with Atlantean. They get their economy going so very well. Whereas Suppe, he's got a ton of wood right now, but nowhere to really put the farms. What he could do is take all 14 of these villages and just build farms all in here and just have an ox cart on it. It's a bit inefficient because it's one extra population to do it, but he needs that food economy. As Loki, with making Hersa, if you're making her, so you need like somewhere in the vicinity of 40 food to keep up with the constant fighting you're doing, and he's nowhere close to that. You can see that the difference there in the wood versus food situation. Not grabbing his third town center. There he goes on that. Or he could just make the farms around this settlement and have an ox cart there until the town center is created. Is always an option. We see an ox cart getting sniped over here, and that's going to really hurt Suppe's gold economy, as Kimo is going to chuck this palace back up. That was just taken down. No problems there. He's got all the resources in the world. We'll see what Mythic Age God power we're going to see here. Going with Atlas is Implode. So Implode's huge. Argus is equally huge. And I'm surprised, honestly, we take it back. I'm pretty surprised we saw that trader there, knowing full well that the Fire Giants potentially coming. You want to save those traders for the Fire Giants. Or just Mythic Age myth units, like if the Hersa makes them, you know, it's Seems or like a Frost Giant or something. Frost Giant would be much better in the battle ball, but we do see that Soup going to be losing this town center for now, as he is pulling back completely here. He's going after Kimo's town center, going to trade 1 for 1 here. Not the worst decision because there's not really anything on this town center, and this one is clearly in a better position for him. We see a couple of villagers going to be desperately coming over here to attempt to repair this one, but I feel like they're never going to get there. We see Masons coming through for Soup just in time, but Kimo with the Atlas coming through as well. These are, funnily enough, the dwarves, if they're on a line to the town center, while it dies, little known fact for you guys playing AOM Trivia, they dump that resource into the settlement and you get it if they're already making their way there. So, or you trivia nuts who go to the Age Mythology Trivia on a Thursday night down at your local Irish pub, you know it's there. Now, when that question pops up, we get that one right. Alrighty. Argus does go down over here. Unfortunate for Kimo. I'm not sure if he had that queued over there or he meant to come over and snipe something, but the battle ball does live. But now, Kimo pushing through, going to be sniping a lot of these, throwing axemen. Just no heavy infantry here, no medium cavalry. These units just not trading well at all. The only strong unit for Soup right now is the Hersir, and it's just kind of underwhelming at this point. And maybe Kimo's got bronze weapons, bronze mail, and Soup's got nothing. Absolutely nothing. We'll see if Soup can bring this one back here. He does have 3 town centers, or going up to 3 town centers. Kimo also going up to 3 town centers. The game very, very far from over here, as there are still 2 gold mines. Very safe for Soup. But the problem for Soup is definitely tech, and he's going to have to somehow figure out a way to stay alive here. Play super turtly, get back into the game, does not want to take any fights if he can otherwise help it. The town center does come up. We see a palace coming up right on front of it, though. Kimo's not going to allow him to hold on to this one. We do see champion infantry and archers coming out for Kimo. And you can see Kimo gets into some difficult situations, but he never, ever forgets those fundamentals, getting all of those upgrades out as super strong units, ready to start pushing through onto the town center. Macro-wise, just playing this one incredibly well, starting up the trade route as well. We do see the wall is up here for Soup, but that one will get cleaned up fairly quickly here by Kimo, as he's also going to take down the town center. And we'll see if Soup can get to the next age or not here. We see a random arc is going to be coming over here. This market is, while it's a really good market in terms of gold, it's a bit of a precarious market in terms of defense. So we need to see the walls coming up here to make sure that nothing can sneak in here, because one wall here and it's completely shut down. And you see a wall coming up here. You have to fix that one up, but it's going to be fine. Soup's town center will go down, but maybe Soup can bring this one back with a hell, with a Nidhogg, with the Fire Giant, and just making a big push on this one. Very tough to take the Fire Giant down as Atlantean. Kimo's got 27 favor in the bank. When we're seeing Soup, he's playing this very Sun Tzu-ish, always going for fights in different positions that you would expect right now. He's losing this town center, but instead going after this one, but he just doesn't have the right siege units here to take this one down. No myth units really. Got one battle ball coming in. The throwing axe only really do 5 damage to the town center. It's already got 62% hack armor, so it takes a long time to take this one down. But nice raid here onto these gold villagers. Came out with a decent amount of gold in the bank right now. We are starting to see some fanatics coming out now for Kimo as well. This is, well, I said there wasn't really another counter infantry unit other than the Caraballister, but the fanatic definitely counters Norse infantry here, because it does a bonus 100% damage to the infantry. It has 51% hack armor. That's with the iron upgrades. So super strong unit here. Very similar to the Myrmidon, but 3 population, only builds it from the palace. So you need a bunch of palaces if you want to be making those fanatics. I fondly remember watching like AOM King play Zeus on vanilla, and you can't build Myrmidon out of military academies on vanilla. You have to build fortresses to build them, and he will build something like 5 or 6 fortresses just kind of in the same area, just to make sure that he could spam out those Myrmidons. So that's exactly what you kind of have to do as Atlantean with those with those fanatics if you want to spam them out and feel very, very strong with those units there, especially with how strong Kimo's economy is right now. But there's the hell coming through for Soup. He's going to be attempting to push through here. He's now got heavy upgrades here. Implode coming down now for Kimo. Very, very nice play here. He's going to be able to pull most of his units out of here, but Soup just going to be walking straight into the army. He's trying to get away. A couple of these throwing axemen still in range to get pulled in. Unfortunately, this implode on Vubli takes a little bit long to pull the units in, but all these units over here, while they are going to trade, they're not going to trade well, and most of them are going to be falling to those super upgraded Atlantean units of Kimo. But we see the Nidhogg coming in right now. A couple of those Archers here coming in. We see a trader coming down as well, going to be taking that Fire Giant for himself. They're going to down a couple of those units here, but this Nidhogg, look at that damage here. You kind of have to Alt-X your archers whenever you see these kind of area of effect units, because they just do so much damage to everything that is below them. But the Nidhogg is taking some very, very good damage here from those hero Archers that Kimo's managed to build here. But Kimo really struggling to make this economy work here at 188 population. Does he have the... He does have the Eye of Horus, 188 population. You don't see that number very often in the population count, but that's what Eye of Horus is. Gives you a really big advantage. Now this Nidhogg going to be flying around. He has a ton of crush damage, so he can take down a town center, but maybe a better option would be to go after the mark, go after the trade route, keep up this fighting. We're now seeing those Huskarl coming out, but with the Fanatics, I don't think they're going to do all too much as of the... Hero Arcus in the back going to be helping out a ton here. And we are seeing more and more of those Fire Giants coming out for Soup, but at this point, they're just not that strong. Fully upgraded Arcus here. Fully iron weapons, iron mail, almost iron shields. You don't even need shields against Norse, so it's basically fully upgraded, and we do see that Soup decides to tap out here in the 28th minute of this game. GG, well played by Kimo. And a really, really nice hold against that early aggression from Soup. I think that Soup didn't quite realize where his advantages were in this game, and how to transition accordingly, because basically what happened was Soup had a big advantage. He never really... Well, he had kind of two options. So option number one was stop pushing, foot off the gas a little bit, and go Mythic Age. If he goes Mythic Age, instead of trying to keep pushing after he killed the town center, I think he killed the town center when in this situation. I think he killed the town center and kept pushing. Instead of keep pushing, instead of keep making units, you could go Mythic Age. The Nidhogg and Fire Giants would carry him home, possibly. And the other option could have been just pull back, take your town centers, boom, take this game late game and be in an even position. And in an even position here, I would say Loki would win the vast majority of late games against Atlantean, with champion infantry, champion raiders, all of the upgrades in your armory, and all that stuff. Because most of the time, the reason why Norse looks so weak in the late game most of the time is because they're getting behind when they get there due to one thing or another. And that's the reason why most civilizations look bad in the late game in Supremacy, is simply because they get into the late game last, or like later than their opponent. So big win here for Kimo. Nice play. I like the attempt with the Cairo Ballista. I think potentially just, I don't know what he could have done better, but he plays this game so well. If you guys enjoyed the game, please consider hitting the follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next